everyone. Hi, welcome back. If you're new, welcome to this series. And before you continue watching, I want you to stop, go back to the other videos so you can catch up, so you can kind of understand what's going on here. And if you are returning, thank you for coming back. So hi, I'm Dr. Vernita White. I go by Dr. V, the Brilliant Expansion Strategist, where I work with high achieving, high functioning, high level women. I help them go from unstuck to unstoppable in multiple areas of their lives. And we do that by showing them how to embrace their brilliance. And they do that by either uncovering or rediscovering it, their brilliance. And I believe that once you embrace your brilliance, you can expand your life in multiple areas and in multiple ways. So we've been talking about this series about my book. It's not a new book, but I'm talking more about it because more people are coming to me talking about like they are ready to transition into a new phase of their life. They're ready to expand their lives and they're asking me for tips. And I'm like, well, I know I wrote this book about embracing grit for greatness, but the more I think about what I wrote in this book and the work that I did for this book, like the exercises, it really does talk about transition and expansion. So it's kind of like we're giving it a reboot. All right. So I'm gonna do my little spiel about how to set up because somebody probably is still watching. They didn't stop to go back. So we're going to do the spiel. So we're talking about grit. I break grit down into 5 characteristics: courage, conscientiousness, endurance, resilience, and choosing excellence over perfection. Within that, I talk about big me and little me. Big me is mostly our professional side. Little me is that personal side to where when work shuts down, who are we? Talk about that in 5 areas. I call it the power pentagon. I did not come up with these 5 areas, but this is how most of us view life, whether that's spirituality, finances, finances, health and wellness, business, career, and relationships. And again, there are more areas, but these are like our big 5. And that can be whether that's professionally or personally in those areas, but a lot of times we are weaker or we don't put forth much effort in those other areas. And that's why they're in the personal side. Some people may say, well, why is career in this on the personal side? It's because one, some women that I work with love their careers, but they also want to start businesses. And that might be a challenging thing for them, that maybe they're little me. And then there are some women who are great in their career, but they want to go to the next level. So now career, where it used to be big me, it also now becomes little me because they're trying to go up higher and they're like, ooh, I don't know. All right, so that's what I've been talking about. So we've already covered big me and little me in courage, big me and little me in conscientiousness, big me and little me in endurance. And now we're on resilience, little me. So I start each section with a title and a quote. So the title of this resilience for little me is called Bum Doc. And I wanted to name this entire book Bum Doc, but my publisher was like, nah, kid, we're not doing that. All right, so the quote I said, resilience is accepting your new reality, even if it's less good than the one you had before. You can't fight it. You can do nothing but scream about what you've lost, or you can accept that and try to put together something that's good. And that's Elizabeth Edwards. So I'm going to read just part of the section. Remember, I'm not reading the entire book to you, just a little excerpt. So I'm starting here. It says, how did I get here again? I remembered being so upset because I got myself through my professional crisis, but I couldn't get a handle on my personal crisis. The weight of everything finally hit me. I had been holding on to the responsibility and the guilt of the foreclosure. I hated working at the district office at times because I was surrounded by people who wanted to treat the symptoms of a failing school instead of the source. I was in a constant battle with my grandmother because she was getting closer and closer to this other family, and they were always at her house. Grandma and I also had issues because she still saw me as a little girl and not as a grown woman. Perhaps I was still acting like a child in some situations. I was upset that I was still carrying the extra 15 to 20 pounds I gained during grad school. I was irritated with the men I had met along my doctoral journey who said they could handle my PhD, then later said I was too ambitious for them. Like some of them literally said that out of their mouths. I was grateful for the opportunity to transition from the K-12 school system, but I was angry that I became a professor instead of pursuing what I really wanted to do. I was bitter because I turned into this safe, clueless person that I had no longer recognized. Years of trauma had hit me all at once in front of this guy who asked a simple question: "Are you depressed about your mom?" Although I was clueless about what I was going to do in life, I knew I couldn't stay in this current situation. So during my first year as a college professor, I quickly realized how damaged I was from my doctoral program. And I thought once I became Dr. Glenn White, everything would go back to those days where I was confident, personable, and on my A game. And that wasn't true. So now this is all, now remember, I want you to remember this. This was all before I understood like the importance of having an evidence list or an evidence bag of greatness and your badass list. I didn't know all this at the time. So I want you to just remember where I was then and where I am now. That was a difficult time, and I knew how to bounce back. You know, I told my chair what she was going to do and not do. I was still making moves to graduate on time, and I had those bounce backs every time there was a setback, I would jump up. But in my personal life, that was a different story. The health and wellness, and we're talking about physical health and mental wellness, was deteriorating. Relationships break down majorly, whether that was with dating or with my family. Finances, because I was like, I hadn't worked for 3 years. And I mean, I had a fellowship and, you know, there was like some income coming in, but I had left a whole career. So there was no salary coming in, right? So I had to build that up or live off what I had saved all of those years. And it was just a lot happening and I couldn't figure out how to bounce back. And I'm sharing that with you because maybe you're in a space where you're feeling like, you know, I did some pretty amazing things before. Like maybe you had a setback at work, but you found yourself getting through that. But then when you look at other areas of your life, you're like, why am I still stuck? What is the problem? Why can't I shake this? And I want to encourage you, and that's part of the work. First, write where, you don't have to give all the details, but put where you haven't bounced back, where you sat down on yourself. And I call that section, let me just give you some more context. I call that section bum doc because I felt like I had graduated, I was this doctor, but I was still living at my grandmother's house on a couch. Even though she had a bed, I was just like, I don't know what was my problem back then, because there was a bed there, but I was just like, I was always on the couch at her house. I was just like, even when I became a college professor, it was still like I was holding all of this and I would just crash on the couch. And eventually I would probably go sleep in the room. But for the most part, I remember grandma just coming back there, just looking at me on the couch. So hence bummed out because I felt like I was homeless. I didn't have my mother's house anymore. I wasn't in a position to buy a house, or yes, I was. I didn't trust myself to purchase a house because I was carrying the guilt of I lost my mother's house. So I was like, well, I can't buy a house because maybe I'll lose that too. So hence bum doc. But maybe you're in a situation and you're like, you feel stuck. So you don't have to give the details, but I want you to write down like an area. You can say health if you want to, or mental wellness, or finances. And then I want you to sit there and be like, okay, think about big you. Go into your evidence bag or your badass list. Where have you been? Where have you been able to bounce back in a situation? Knowing that you're able to do in one area, you have the potential and the qualities and the characteristics to do it in another area. So that's what I want you to take away from that. You're able to pick yourself back up. Now, you may have to do some strategic work to do that, but just know that it's possible. And if you know that it's possible, then I hope you have a sigh of relief, like you don't have to stay where you are. All right. So make sure you comment down below. That's how we have our dialogue. And I'm so happy that you're here with me as we're learning together, because the more you learn about what I'm sharing, I learn more about you. And then if I don't work with you directly, I know that there's someone who could be like you and I could help them just with your insight as well. All right. So thank you so much. Remember, you can connect with me on all social media platforms. I will leave more information down below, because you can join my email list, join the Vibe Tribe, where we vibrate higher in our influence, impact, brilliance, and excellence. Or you can connect by getting a copy of the book or taking the Jumpstart course. All that information is down below. All right, so thank you so much for listening and learning with me. I hope I will see you as we continue this series or somewhere out there in cyberspace. And as we depart today, I want you to remember to be well, be empowered, be bold, and be brilliant. Until next time, bye.